Emmanuel, what does Black History Month mean to you?
Well, firstly, I'd like to say that Black History Month means something different to me, like it means something different to you, and like it means something different to everyone here. To me, I perceive Black History Month as something bigger than Black Lives Matter, something bigger than Show Racism the Red Card. And I think that's influenced by who I am as a person, my ethnicity, not just because I'm a Black person, but because of where I've grown up. And I think that rather than people saying race doesn't matter when it comes to viewing these type of things, I think it does, because your race and who you are should influence how you see the topic of Black Lives Matter as well. And I think that can truly express how we actually feel about it and help everyone else to embrace it.
That's a brilliant answer. I'm not marking you, by the way, it's a brilliant answer. Do you ever get the feeling people are speaking to you as Emmanuel, as a teenager, or do you sometimes think people are speaking to you as a Black person?
Well, personally, I haven't really ever been in a situation where I'd say someone's been speaking to me as a Black person, because I feel how you act and how you convey yourself is how people will treat you, even if they do see you as another color. But then again, you always see that how someone acts and how someone behaves will always prevail over how someone might just see them at first glance because of their race.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'll come back to you. Poppy, your head girl, do you see yourself when it comes to Black History Month having a certain ambassadorial role, or does it just pass you by?
I'd hope to think I do, because I think Black History Month is a really important thing that happens in our school. So I'd hope I'd be somebody who they could look up to, because I'm somebody who tries to learn about it and appreciate it. So I hope so.
Have you learnt a lot over you're now, what, year 11? So have you learnt a lot whilst you've been at Stewards?
Yeah, I think in the first few years we learnt in history about slavery, but it was only really last year when all the Black Lives Matter things happened that I've heard about people in my year and other people in the school. That was only when I first started hearing about their types of stories, and that was when I probably learnt about how it affects us now rather than in the past.
So do you feel, Tiffany, that the Black Lives Matter movement has helped you understand a lot about the Black lives today, but also in Black lives of the past?
Yeah, so I remember when last year everything happened with George Floyd, and then the Black Lives Matter movement started, and there was all the protests and everything. I feel like that helped me learn a lot, like what life was like in the past and what it might be like in the future.
And Leslie, did you feel the school needed to teach you about Black History Month, or did you know plenty on your own?
Personally, I tried to educate myself to educate others, and I feel like the school did what they could do. I feel like there could be more education happening, which now there is going to be, and hopefully people realise what not to say and what to say. I feel like it all started with police brutality, like Tiffany said, George Floyd, and all that stuff happened. And in the future, I would like to see more happening at the school, Black Lives Matter history and all that stuff. So, yeah.
Okay, Ella, what does Black History Month mean to you?
To me, Black History Month is very important because it helps me celebrate the Black people in my community today, but also the Black people in history that have helped to shape our future. So to me, yeah, that's Black History Month is really important.
Has anybody ever said to you, where's White History Month or All Lives Matter or anything like that?
They have, but I've tried to educate, and personally I've educated myself about Black History Month and Black Lives Matter in general. So I've been trying to help educate others.
You and the rest of your colleagues have used the word education a lot. Is that really important?
Yeah, if somebody's not educated in something, in my opinion, they're not going to understand. So they need to be educated to be able to start understanding a bit more.
Okay, Nathan, what does Black History Month mean to you?
To me, Black History Month is educating everyone about the stereotypes and the past, because there's lots of stereotypes about Black people being lazy, and I think Black History Month teaches everyone about being resilient.
Resilient. Have you ever faced racism?
Yeah, I've faced racism in unconscious biasness, like people not knowing that they're racist but saying something that they don't really know. So I've tried to educate and help people.
Can you explain to me what unconscious bias means?
To me, unconscious bias is something that someone's growing up with and they don't really recognize what is wrong.
If or when somebody has been prejudicial or racist to you, have you been able to stand up for yourself?
They sometimes try their best to put you down, but I think resilience is a good thing to have, and I try to educate people from what I know and from what people have taught me.
There are some people though you can't educate. Is that true?
Very stubborn people.
Stubborn. That's a very kind word you've just used there. Israel, how do you feel? What does Black History Month mean to you?
Black History Month is a very special and important time because it gives us time out of just our day to remember the things that people have done in our history and culture and not forget about what they've done if people try to shadow over or try and block out what they have done and try and ignore it and focus on other things. So we can focus on how our culture has been built and how we've developed throughout our past.
Certainly last year we got a lot of publicity press from the school. Does the school do a lot?
Yeah, the school definitely does a lot. We've even tried to implement our own show Racism the Red Card event with competitions and newspapers and events where even on Friday we're allowing ourselves to come in red to support and show, and we can even donate money to the cause as well.
So you mentioned about the school does. Can you expand upon that?
The school also tries to help out with assemblies as well. Me and Nathan have been running some assemblies ourselves as well, with one of our colleagues, Wafikat, who unfortunately couldn't be here. We try to educate the younger students of the school as well who may not have been introduced to things like Black History Month and Black just excellence as well, which is what we try and preach to the school. We try and broaden our community and widen people's knowledge into things that may not have been, taught or brought upon them before.
What about Black role models? Do you have any, Emmanuel?
I would say from the past, my favourite Black role model is Harriet Tubman. And Harriet Tubman was, I won't say a slave, she was a person who was physically captive by obviously white owners, as they used to say back then. And the reason why she's my inspiration is because she took it upon herself to risk her life in 19 dangerous trips after escaping herself to save over 300 people who were also physically captive just like them, and also just as well as making them physically captive, mentally captive of what they had to endure basically as slaves, as they would have called them back then. So I think that her decision and her willpower to really take this upon herself to help the wider community, even in the stressing situations she had back then, is something that I really look up to.
I'd say one of my biggest role models would have to be someone like Muhammad Ali, who has shown perseverance and resilience in everything that he's done, with not only boxing, but trying to prove for his own rights regarding skin color and then his own ethical beliefs with religion as well. He's just someone who's done a lot for himself and a lot for our culture, and just to prove how important Black history is and try and educate people who are oblivious and try their best to try and put people down of our skin color.
And you hear stories from Muhammad Ali when he was Cassius Clay of winning the Olympic medal and then not being allowed into a restaurant. Can you understand the pain? But he came back, didn't he? He didn't
He always persevered and never let himself get put down by anyone who wished to oppress and disregard him for who he really is.
Anybody else?
I would say my parents, because they've been through so much in life with racism, colorism, not being comfortable in their own skin, and they've seemed to raise me, my sister and my brother through all of that, and that's the person I'm trying to be today.
And your parents, how long have your parents lived in this country?
They used to live in somewhere in Africa called Ghana, where everyone looked like them, so they were really comfortable. But ever since they came to this country, they saw different races, white people, Asian people, just so many people, and they encountered a lot of problems with that. But they still seem to persevere, and I think they've lived in this country for about more than 10 years, I would say. So yeah, and I'm trying to be exactly like them when I'm older.
So do you see yourself as British, or do you see yourself as Anglo Ghanaian, or how do you see yourself?
I would see myself as Black British, because I was brought up in Hackney, where I probably lived most of my life, and came here at the age of 6, I think. And when I did come here, I did experience a lot of colorism, not being comfortable in my own skin, and it normally came from people, like most of my people, like Black people. And I feel like what we just talked about, education, like educating our own people, letting them know that it's not okay to call someone black, it's not okay to call someone charcoal. And I feel like that's that's our new step now going on forward.
It's Black History Month, Israel. Is that enough?
Well, I think what the idea behind Black History Month was to try and educate more people about the Black history and Black excellence of people. But the true idea and message people try to get across is that we should celebrate it all year round as well. It should not only be restricted to a month where we should celebrate and embrace and rejoice about people, which is what people misunderstand about it. Black History Month should be celebrated no matter what the circumstances.
Leslie and Ella, do you not only do work as ambassadors in Stewards Academy, but also Harlow Youth Council? Tell us a little bit about that.
Do you want to talk about that?
So in Harlow Youth Council, we recently attended the Black Lives Matter festival in the Harlow town, and we
You've dried out since then, have you?
yeah, and we supported the whole movement there as well.
What else do you do?
We also try our best to talk to people who've experienced stuff. Like for me, myself, trying to talk about how I felt when stuff happened to me, and also big word, educate others as well. We do a lot of events. Apart from Black Lives Matter, we do other events too. But our focus now is Black Lives Matter and Black History.
Poppy, you're the head girl, but do you think we will ever see a Black Prime Minister in this country?
I think there's no reason we couldn't. I think everybody has the same education and everyone can be as good as to be a Prime Minister, so I don't see any reason why we couldn't. I think everybody just needs to be on the same page and everybody needs to be accepting before we can do that, but I think it should definitely happen in the future.
Nathan again. Nathan, do you think we'll ever see a Black Prime Minister?
Of course, I think that we will see a Black Prime Minister, because eventually, as we move on as a society, we will accept Black people more and we will have more Black influences. Like we had Obama, the first Black president, so why can't we have a Black Prime Minister?
Good answer. How about yourself, Israel?
I would say it's wrong for us to say that there could never be a Black Prime Minister, because every person is able to have their equal qualifications and opportunities to be able to have this chance to be Prime Minister, and hopefully we will be able to see that in the future, just hopefully sooner than later. And they're able to bring along new ideas that are able to benefit people of all cultures rather than to be biased as well.
We mentioned sport earlier. I just wondered about the treatment of the England players. How did you feel about that during the Euros? Yeah, Karen, Israel.
Well, I'd actually seen quite a lot and read a lot about what had happened in sports such as football as well. Because as everyone knows, a lot of things have happened between about English players and all other fans of other teams. Like Sterling, who has been racially abused more times than I can even remember. Yet what I do appreciate and love about his drive is that he keeps persevering and keeps going, no matter what the circumstances. And I also remember reading, unfortunately, about a mishap that happened. In one of Boateng's first debut matches, he was immediately shamed and racially abused by fans. And this had resulted in anger, and unfortunately had to leave the pitch. And it's just something I find disgusting, that we should keep out of all sports no matter what.
You have a number of groups in the school. One of them, forgive me, is EMPV?
Yes, correct.
Tell me a little bit about that, Emmanuel.
So the EMPV stands for the Ethnic Minority Pupil Voice, and as the last two letters stand for, it's the pupil voice. So in particular, the pupil voice in how we embrace cultural diversity, and in this case, Black History Month as a school. So it's a very key part of school. It's open to everyone. Anyone can be involved in it. And I think that it's good that it is open to everyone, because it allows us to compile so many different views. And of course, there's no right or wrong view in regards to this matter, but it allows us to compile so many different views together to get like a fuller picture of this whole issue, Black History Month, as a school. And I think that's shown in the work we've done in the assemblies that Israel, Nathan and Wafikat have been doing over the past few weeks. And also since the time of Black History Month and George Floyd hitting our school, I think that since then we've progressed a lot, and we've actually seen the development of our community as a school through EMPV.
Do you agree, Poppy?
Yeah, I agree. I think EMPV is a really important part of our school because it gives everyone the chance to share their cultures, which we might not have realised before or learned about other people and their backgrounds.
Leslie?
Yeah, I agree too. I feel like it's made most of the people in the school more confident and able to talk about their experiences they've been through. And we also have a lot of fun there. We even have cultural foods at times, and it's just fun.
You have what? Sorry, did you say?
Cultural foods.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
For example.
One time we had something called puff puff. It's like a dough, and it's basically like a donut, but it was originally made in Nigeria, and we brought it here to let other people try it too.
Hello?
Yeah, I agree. As somebody who's attended EMPV meetings in the past, that's definitely where I've got a lot of my education from, and I feel like it's really helpful for the school community.
Nathan?
I strongly agree as well. I think that if we didn't have this EMPV group, much people wouldn't feel welcome in our school, and we focus on that as EMPV to introduce black people and make them feel comfortable and as a family in this.
And Nathan, when you're debating, do everybody agree or do sometimes you disagree? And is it comfortable to disagree with each other?
Well, it's a safe space to place our views, and we sometimes disagree to agree, but we still educate everyone in the room, and I think it's a very nice place to debate.
How do you feel, Israel?
I couldn't have said it better myself. I feel like EMPB is a very safe place where everyone's welcome, and there's not really anything to. Sorry, can we go again?
Yeah. How do you feel about the debates you have in EMPV?
I think that it's a great thing because EMPV is a really safe place where everyone is welcome. And the debate aspect of it is actually a great way to build teamship and leadership between everyone. It's not anything about arguments or trying to disagree with everyone, but it's more just trying to reach, I'd say, more of an end goal with each other.
Manuel, do you hope to take all you've learnt regarding Black History Month and the groups the school has when you'll leave the school at the end of this year? Do you hope to take on board all you've learnt here?
Well, of course, I think that if I don't, there's not really any point in me learning about it. Because first of all, I'm learning about all this stuff for my own furtherance, but also for me to be able to further the lives of other people with it. You were talking earlier about us ever seeing a black prime minister. That's something that I can personally try and achieve myself. It's something that many other people can. And I think that with the experience I have with Black Lives Matter and the experience that we all have in Stewards Academy, we can all go out to make the world an even better place, because it can only get better from here.